Damn. New York's only got 4.
Yeah. Gotta remember, they're pinned in like A most of the time, so.
Yeah.
Ruselli Northern supports upstate New York construction with over 400 employees, 250 trucks, 9 ready-mix plants, 4 blacktop plants, and 40 aggregate mines. But their most important number is your bottom line. Contact them today to see why Ruselli Northern has been the choice for contractors and project managers across upstate New York since 1929.
All right, everybody, welcome in to Fresh Takes. Russo and Felice. Paul Russo here with you. Nick Felice also here with you. Nick, good to see you. It's a Wednesday. We got kind of more or less just a 3-pack of topics we'll hit on today. Kind of older style structure in that sense, but yeah, the finals are here, so we'll talk about that on both the hockey and basketball side of things, and why not be late to the party on the Caitlin Clark stuff? So we're going to hop in on that. But it's an exciting weekend for us. It was good to get out and about a little bit and enjoy. I think for the people who don't know, Nick Felice is a mini golf savant. To put it politely, maybe mildly. I think my beloved co-host here might be the Jack Nicklaus of mini golf here in Seneca County.
Well, thank you. That was a little too much praise. But, yeah, I am 2-0 on Seneca, was it medals?
No, it's Seneca Lake Resorts.
Seneca Lake Resorts, new miniature golf course, 2-0. I'm not very good at golf, but if I had to say one part of my game that is probably decent is the putting. So, shout out to that. But, yeah, been a good week. Got, Canal Fest coming up this weekend.
That's true.
And, yeah, I mean, we're not going to be talking about this today, but I do got my Tucapita Marcano jersey on the way. Did buy one. Yeah, I mean.
You got on clearance?
He's one of my favorite players, obviously. Him, Felipe Rivero or Vasquez, whatever you want to say. Him,
yeah.
Jung Ho Gong.
I had the curve on the Felipe Vasquez front.
You were on top of that. Jung Ho Gong, I like. Cole Tucker. Paul Skeens.
Two guys who, at least at the moment, are not in any wrongdoings of any kind.
Yeah, they're just dating celebrities. It's Pirates getting in the spotlight.
Okay.
That's for baseball related reasons, I should say. But, yeah, doing good.
Good, excellent. Yeah, before we get going here, thank again our sponsor, Ruselli Northern, up at the jump there, as well as Little John and Barbie Orthodontics. Dr. Little John, Dr. Barbie, and their outstanding orthodontic team share a common goal to ensure the overall wellness of each of their patients through their exceptional orthodontic care. You can check them out online at littlejohnortho.com, as well as Lincoln Hill Farms. Celebrate Father's Day at Lincoln Hill Farms. A day filled with live music, craft brews, good eats, and a great time. Save the date. Bring your dad, uncle, grandfather, any father figure in life for one-of-a-kind entertainment. We'll be serving up a clam special while supplies last and other food specials. You can come on out, meet the goats, enjoy live music throughout the day, lawn games, and participate in their Dress Like Your Dad contest and more down at Lincoln Hill Farms for Father's Day.
I like the headline for this episode. Just looking at it now.
Oh, look at you go. Yeah. So let's jump into it.
But one thing.
Okay. Go ahead.
I know it's MLB All-Star voting started today.
Yeah, I just got the notification on that before we went.
And how come we can never vote pitchers?
Because they're weird.
That's so dumb. It's 2024, Manfred. Let's vote pitchers. Come on, I want to vote a pitcher in the All-Star game.
Half the time it doesn't matter because half of them don't end up pitching anyway. So
they still have that Sunday rule.
Yeah.
Where they can't pitch.
Yeah.
Kevin Correa never got to pitch that one year for the Pirates. Neither did Evan Meek.
Your lone all-star.
Hey, he had a good first half that year.
Yeah, it's all that matters to get you there. Yeah, so you saw it. Let's start. NBA Finals coming up tomorrow on Thursday. Basketball's been pretty much over in the NBA side of things for not quite a week at that point, but pretty close to it. Mavericks and Celtics. Just how, like, neither one of us really imagined at the start of the year. Celtics obviously had that clearer window to get there. Mavericks certainly did not. I think really, the initial thought on this series is like, I would think Boston has the advantage, but I go back to something I said last week, because obviously you had to take it with a grain of salt, not knowing what the deal with Dallas was going to be officially. This is really going to be a kind of a battle of more or less those guys outside of each team's, quote-unquote big two, right? Obviously Dallas, Luka, Kyrie, Boston, Jalen, and Jason. Who's going to step up really in the trenches? I think Boston, again, probably gets the edge there with Porzingis coming back. Sounds like, barring a really last-minute setback at this point is. I don't know if Dallas necessarily has that guy to necessarily kind of do what KP can do for Boston. The interesting part about KP in this, right, and this is where I think this is where the series will be won or lost for either one of these teams, right? Like, I would imagine Dallas is probably going to have P.J. Washington or Gafford on him. And both of them, albeit not as tall as KP, they're definitely bigger than KP. And it's weird, I noticed it more this year, but like that's where KP actually does better. He does worse when it's like a guard or a smaller player on him, where it's a lot more twitchy. In that sense, does Dallas instead maybe go with equal height but similar size with like a guy like Lively? I don't know. It will be interesting to kind of see that play out. But for you, I know you were happy when the Eastern Conference Finals were wrapped up pretty quickly. And the West we all kind of saw coming once everything kind of played out. What's the initial thoughts for you for this NBA Finals that kicks off tomorrow?
Obviously thrilled.
No, you aren't.
There's just no part of me can root for the Boston Celtics to win a championship. I hate that team. And the only other option is Dallas, apparently. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you're not a big Kyrie guy. I'm not a big Luka guy, but I think we might have to pull for them. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I think you're rooting for Dallas. I would assume. Confirm? Confirm or deny?
Let's get to that when we do our predictions.
All right. I think he's a Dallas guy over here. I think we're both Dallas, rooting for that. But
what I want and what I think will happen might be two different things.
That's true. I think it's the same thing I'm thinking. It does suck, seeing that either Tim Hardaway or Kristaps Porzingis is going to be an NBA champion when this is all said and done. Did see that today. That was hard to see, but
they drafted who?
Yeah, great moment there. But Boston's just got all around the better team. I mean, they are absolutely loaded. Mm. I think if the Knicks were healthy enough, they could have gave them a nice physical series, but didn't happen to be the case. But Tatum's been here before. Luka's never been here. Never been to the NBA Finals. Kyrie Irving has. So it's where's experience? Where's the line going to draw in? Where's it going to cut off? How much is it going to be playing a factor? Kristaps Porzingis obviously is not going to be 100%. Neither is the Lively kid there. So, but that's this time of year. You got to fight through it. It's the NBA Finals. There's only maximum 7 more games to go. So you got to fight it for these next week and a half to 2 weeks.
I was about to say it more on the 2-week side.
Yeah, I love the 3-day breaks, whatever they give them now. But obviously can't stand Tatum, can't stand Luka. So not too much interest here, but I have to root for Dallas just because I cannot root for Boston. I hate Tatum more. I do. And I think he's a crybaby, which is crazy to say because Luka's a bigger one. But I'm rooting for Drew Holiday because I do like Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. He is the reason I think they're here right now. I mean, when you lose Marcus Smart, that was a huge loss. But when you replace him with KP and Drew Holiday, forget Marcus Smart. This is a way better package. That's why they're so much better this year. That's why they won 60-something games. And they're dominating through the playoffs. And here they are in the NBA Finals as the big favorite to win this NBA Finals. So, it comes, does Tatum have it? Is he that guy? I think he's definitely not. He can't do it alone. That's why he's got Holiday. That's why he's got Brown. That's why he's got Horford. And that's why he's got, I say Horford like that. I can't stand that guy. But
And Horford.
and KP. So, great team. All right, coach. He's a little strange. Not a big Joe Mazzulla guy. I'm just not a big Boston guy. Yeah. So, I think Boston's going to win the series. But I am pulling for Dallas.
Yeah, Mazzulla's a strange card. My dad's a Celtics fan. He cannot stand Mazzulla. It's weird because, I can't say I'm necessarily surprised you're going the Dallas route, but the Boston thing, it's interesting to me because, if they can't get it done this year,
when are they ever going to get it done?
Exactly, right? And that's my thing with it. Dallas, I think they can still go ahead and tweak stuff and have a perceived window of sort. I think the way everything went down this year in the Western Conference and the playoffs, I think it worked so well to their advantage, right? Obviously. But you have to be there, obviously. We're talking about this pretty much exact same thing last year with the Heat, in a way, where it's everything just went right, and here they are, and they have this opportunity. So, yeah, I give kudos where credit's due. It's weird because you mentioned KP. Forgot about another former Knick involved in this series, Tim Hardaway Jr. down in Dallas.
I did mention him.
Did you?
Yeah, I said one of them is going to win an NBA championship. I saw that.
Yeah, but you were really up on the KP front.
Yeah, we got some problems, but Tim Hardaway, he's a good guy.
Okay, I'm on to you. Also, Jason Kidd.
Yeah, he was on that good Knicks team.
That's right. Now I have you fully pinned. Yeah, this is where I go back to what I said, where it's I think what I want and what I think will happen are two different things. It's not even I like Dallas in that sense either. I really don't like them either, but the surrounding cast in Boston is just better than Dallas. Obviously, that's on paper. We'll have to see what happens and go from there, but you brought up Drew Holiday. We haven't even mentioned really Derek White yet in this. Peyton Pritchard's had an interesting playoff run. When he's one of those guys where you put him in the microwave, he's going to get hot type thing.
Sam Hauser.
Sam Hauser's been more of a myth, though, in the playoffs than anything. That's where you have guys, Xavier Tillman gets some run. O'Shea Brissett got some run there at the end of that Pacers series.
They're loaded.
It's the depth, right? Not to knock on Dallas, right? But you can kind of turn to a couple guys in Boston and be like, hey, we need a three. That's where Pritchard and Hauser come in really great in that sense, right? That Brown and Tatum can shoot, Holiday can shoot, White can shoot, Horford can shoot, Porzingis can shoot. Dallas just doesn't quite have all those options. Not a knock on him. I'm a big Dante Exum guy, but he's not known for being a shooter in that sense. You look at that bench for Dallas, and it's Tim Hardaway, push came to shove. Yeah, not a great year for him shooting. I think, if you were part of fantasy in any kind of way, shape, or form, or DFS, you recognize pretty quick Tim Hardaway was having a down year this year. The Dallas options get pretty limited after P.J. Washington in terms of shot creation and stuff like that, where you need a shot, you can go to them in the corner, they can go ahead and go. I'd prefer Dallas to win. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I don't even know, especially if KP is 75% even. I have a hard time seeing this series get beyond 5 games.
I can see that.
Could be wrong, like I said, but I just, to coin a hockey term, which we'll get to here in a second, gentleman's sweep, I think, is kind of what we're looking at here. I don't I don't see Dallas being able to hang. You know, there's a lot of, like, I view Missoula and Kidd on pretty equal point for coaching.
Yeah.
I view, to be fair, their bench is pretty on equal point collectively. It's just that Dallas, I think, Dallas lacks behind Boston's kind of firepower, just in the broader term of it. I think that's where it's going to come in. Could be wrong. I mean, we've seen Boston not be able to really handle true pressure really at all.
And Dallas has proved me wrong a couple times this playoffs.
Right.
I didn't see them handling the Timberwolves like that.
Correct. And that, I think that's where, I mean, as much as we've dunked on him and kind of go at him a little bit here and I guess everybody else, you know, that's where, like, a guy like Kyrie actually makes the difference. He's actually been through this before, albeit now 8 years ago, really, but, you know, he's been through it. None of those guys on Boston really have. I mean, Horford has, but he wasn't the main piece or anything like that. And even then, he kind of got ghosted pretty quick. So it's one of those things where it's like, maybe Dallas does have that edge just because you have one guy in the corner who knows what he's doing in that sense. But I think the firepower of Boston is just too much for Dallas to handle.
See, now I don't know if I can root for Dallas anymore. I'm just thinking about when they tanked last year so they could keep their first-round draft pick over the Knicks and cried about Jalen Brunson. Oh, he was talking to his dad, so that's tampering. No. I don't like Mark Cuban.
He's not even the main owner there anymore.
But he's still there.
Was he there?
He was there one game. There's just part of me that don't like Dallas either.
I've heard a lot of interesting things. Not to get on a separate tangent. I've heard a lot of interesting things about Cuban the past 36 hours.
Really?
Yeah. Again, I don't want to get in the rabbit hole. You know, so he's an Indiana University alum, IU.
Really?
Do you know, like, he can't really give them any money, like, legally speaking?
Why?
I don't know. It wasn't really drawn out well, but it's like, yeah, if there's an NIL deal, like, he has to, like, he can't give all the money he technically even wants. Like, if he goes to a high school game in Indiana, like, he has to sign a waiver through the state in order to go. Sounds like we have some, you mentioned tampering. Well, a little tampering of sort there, I guess. But anyway, not to get off the rails too much.
I've been hearing Chandler Parsons.
The mullet.
What the hell's up with him?
Hey, somebody's got to stay relevant.
Yeah, apparently. He's talking a lot.
He,
Memphis down, too.
Which podcast was he on recently? I think it might have been the OGs, the one I listened to with Udonis and Mike Miller, where I heard a snippet of him, like, it might be one of the podcasts I skip for the week. But yeah, like, it's weird. He's got, like, the mullet thing going on now and everything. Yeah. He fell off bad.
Yeah, he's just trying to get back on the scene, I guess.
They're Chandler Parsons.
But I will root for Dallas, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough for both of us, right? Because, like, we're both caught in the middle of just being like, neither one of these teams are likable for us in any shape or form, really. It's just like, damn it, like.
I think this is worse than Warriors Cavs.
I feel like if anything for me, and like I said, my dad's a Celtic fan, so like I guess I'm okay seeing his happiness in a sense in that way. You know what I mean? Like, I know it sounds like weird saying it in that sense, but like,
it is your dad's team.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be watching, obviously.
I mean, he's not going to get the Reds for any time soon, so.
You don't know that. You never know.
I got to get some pitching.
The wild part is, so, like, I know we weren't going to talk baseball here, but, like, I'm trying to keep things condensed, but, well, inside baseball on that one. But, like, their pitching hasn't been, like, their big concern this year.
Good game by Montas last night.
Yeah. It's their bats, man. Their bats are really.
Yeah, Ellie's not hitting what he should be.
It was crazy that I can't remember the exact date. For whatever reason, May 15th is sticking out for it. But like the MLB tweeted out that graphic, and well, I guess they did it on all social channels about how he's like projected to have like 100 stolen bases. Like he has not done anything since. It's crazy.
I think I get rid of that manager.
Yeah, David Bell.
He's been there way too long.
Kinda, yeah.
They were supposed to be bad. They could have won the division this year.
Oh, I mean, I had them to win the division this year, I think, in our baseball preview one. Like, with the Pirates being my surprise team of the division. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Either way. Let's get over to hockey here.
To the ice.
Edmonton, Florida.
Very close by.
Furthest Stanley Cup final ever between two cities. Florida, I'm not surprised by, in a way. Edmonton, there's a little bit of surprise, even though I go back to something that I know I didn't say last week. I said 2 weeks ago, where it's kind of like one of those about times, but like this team makes no sense out of the ones to make it.
Yeah, I know.
It's interesting because of like there's so many different kind of like little, not little ripples, but like, you know, there's a lot of like talking points in this, right? We have like the McDavid angle of this. Honestly, we have this Florida as an organization angle of this now, where it's like they get back, they've been here once before, and the past 3 seasons they've pretty much been at the doorstep, and something's happened where it's like they've peed on their leg more or less.
The Canadian drought.
Possibly ending, right? So there's a lot of different little ripples in here. Obviously, Dallas on the end of it in the Western Conference, your Rangers, Nick, on the end of it in the Eastern Conference. It's so weird watching those two teams go through the conference finals because, for example, Game 6 with Edmonton, the one that they win and solidify their Stanley Cup placement, they got tripled up on shots on goal, and yet they still prevailed. Florida, and this is where I hope the Rangers were like just a little bit more healthy. I think they could have gotten to Game 7. I think a little bit was just like they ran out of steam just from a like stamina standpoint because of their youth. Like there's an inexperience element too with the Rangers. We mentioned this probably a couple of years ago with them, in all honesty, and last season it didn't go as fully planned, but like this is a Ranger team that's not going anywhere at this point. So like we'll see them again next year is my guess. I would assume. Sports are weird though. But it's kind of the same question I guess I had with basketball for you is, this initial reaction of having Edmonton and Florida going after the Stanley Cup.
Little bums in the Rangers, obviously. Shesterkin played out of his mind, but the star players just, where were they? They disappeared.
And there's only so much, and not to interrupt, but like I think that gets lost with a lot of people, especially this time of year to a degree. Like you mentioned Igor, like he literally was probably the best player on the ice for like 90% of that series in my mind, right? But like goalies can only do so much when their defense is going to let them down. Yeah. That was a big issue with Tampa this year in my mind. Not to go homer, but like it's the greatest example of it for me, where it's just like I forget who asked me. It was like, man, Vasilevsky like starting to fall off. I'm like, maybe to a degree, but like Tampa's defense this year was awful, like just awful.
It's like soccer.
Yeah, I mean you can only be as good as the people really in front of you before. It just, the straw breaks, and next thing you know, it's just an onslaught of goals.
It's like Tim Howard in soccer.
Yeah.
He had terrible defense. He had to play out of his mind to keep USA in the games.
It's a great comp.
And, it sucks because we had such a great team this year. And you said, the team will be back. But the Stanley Cup is so hard, and you can't guarantee anything.
And you don't know that, right, yeah.
The only guarantee you have in the NHL is that the Buffalo Sabres will not make the playoffs.
Oh, gee, that's not, come on. That's not fair.
I mean, it's the only thing
Come
that's
on,
guaranteed.
That's not fair.
But all jokes aside, 5th straight year, Florida's in the Eastern Conference champion.
Yeah.
We haven't seen one since 2019 Boston.
Yeah. No.
18 was Capitals, I think.
18 was Capitals. Yeah, 19 was sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely disappointing. I mean, I've dealt with it before. They've fallen short in the Eastern Conference a couple years ago. They fell short in the Stanley Cup Finals less than 10 years ago. And one of these years, I mean, Peter Laviolette, great coach. A lot better than Gerard Gallant. But,
What about my guy, Alon?
I think I think he got the team in playing to their potential this year. Obviously, obviously the President's Trophy curse. I mean, we did a lot better with the trophy than a lot of other teams in the past. Now, you're Lightning that 1 year.
Shut up.
Who they lose to? Florida, wasn't it?
No, the year that they won the President's. You're talking about? No, that was the sweep by Columbus.
Columbus, yes.
we had to deal with Tortorella.
Florida beat Boston last year.
Correct.
Right? After that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, we've done better than
Thanks for the reminder.
we've done better than past President Trophy teams. It sucks to see the 1-seeded Dallas go down as well, but Edmonton is the team. I mean, Gretzky played at Edmonton. You got the history there with McDavid. He needs his first Stanley Cup, and he's finally in his first Stanley Cup finals. And it's not going to be easy. I mean, Florida is a very good team, and they have the experience of being there just a year ago. I don't know. I like to think Edmonton's going to – I think they're just the team of destiny. I think Canada's going to bring it home.
So, okay.
And Edmonton's not going to blow up the country like Toronto would if they won the Stanley Cup. But
Or Vancouver.
But I mean, they're way up there. I mean, we don't know what they're doing up there. But Connor McDavid is a superstar, and I think this is great for the sport to get their best player in the league on the big stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that goes back to, I think, the first point I brought up, where it's like you finally have McDavid who, you know, I think there could be at this point some argument as to who was the best player in the league, but, you know, if he's not number one, he's certainly 1B or 2, however you want to classify it. The fact that it's taken so long, though, to get him into the spotlight, you know, again, I go back to that. It's pretty indicative of what the Oilers have kind of always been, in a sense, right? You know, he brought up kind of a good example, right to the Gretzky point, quite literally to the Gretzky point. Yeah, I mean, I will end up being a little bit biased here in what I want, even though I don't think, again, it's what I think will happen. But, you know, I've mentioned on here about, you know, he was in Erie at the same time I was in college in Erie, and our paths, you know, kind of quasi-crossed a couple of different times over. But I think it would be huge, you know, it would be huge for the sport if he did get Stanley Cup champion. I think it would be huge for a lot of those guys on that team, right? I mean, Leon Draisaitl, for example, you know, he's been predominantly a really great wingman and probably doesn't deserve that title, but, you know, to the general viewing public, that's probably kind of how they view him. When in actuality, he's also, at worst, a top 10 player in the league, in all fairness.
Justin Kiefer made a comp as well. Mm-hmm. He texted me, says, Draisaitl and McDavid is today's Malkin and Crosby.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think they're both a little bit better than both.
You're thinking more Ovechkin, Backstrom?
No. Probably closer to, I would say, I'll be short, probably kind of like Lemieux, Yager in a sense, even though both are more built being closer to Draisaitl than McDavid, but yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit Messier, Gretzky.
Chara Thomas.
See, you're starting to get on it. Chara and Thomas.
Great defense.
That'd be like doing Hedman and Vasilevsky like for that then.
Or Maker and who's the Colorado goalie? Gorgadev?
Yeah, Greg someone Russian. You want to know what, Nick? I'm just going to call you Gregory. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great for the game if Edmonton does get this. It's kind of like basketball for me, though. I think what I want and what I actually is going to happen, I think, are two different things. However, I think this is a lot closer than the basketball side. Really closer than the basketball side. I definitely think this series is going 7. I think Florida pulls it off, but my head's saying Florida, my heart's saying Edmonton.
I think Florida's going to lose again. Just because, you know, little biasy, you know, not a big fan of them knocking us out, but I'm pulling for Edmonton. I think Edmonton's going to win this. I think to go 6, 7, I'm going to say 7. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see a game 7 in Florida, and McDavid goes in there and wins that game.
Really?
I mean, this is what you want. 4 major sports, best players in the league winning championships. You got Mahomes, 3-time champion. McDavid gets done. He's a champion. Nikola Jokic is a champion. Shohei Ohtani has a dog. But we need the best players in the sports dominating their sports.
Shohei Ohtani has a dog. Don't you forget it. No, yeah, I mean, it's always good for any sport, right? When you get your at least one of your superstars across the line in that sense, right? I mean, it's weird. Like you mentioned Ohtani, like I think the closest thing for Texas has got to be what? Probably Seager.
Yeah.
And even then, it's like, yeah, is he even top 5 shortstop right now?
I think he can be. He started off slow.
He probably actually is.
Shortstop's deep though.
Yeah. Who would?
Henderson's got to be in there. He's been killing
Yeah.
it. I don't know if I put Volpe in there yet.
Let's see how the full year goes for him, given his youth.
Witt.
Yeah, Witt.
Betts, I guess you can call Betts.
Trey Turner? Well, he's been hurt.
Trey Turner's on, he's right there.
He's been hurt, so I don't know.
Betts is technically in there.
Yeah.
We're just rattling some off. Oh, the Kim guy for Padres, not bad, but he's not top 5.
Wow.
And just thinking quickly off the top of my head. Astros, no.
Definitely not Correa anymore, that's for
Not
sure.
Correa, no. Witt, definitely Witt. Forgetting somebody.
Javi Baez?
Yeah, he's got the logo on his neck.
JP?
JP Crawford.
He's sniffing, I think. I don't know if he's there, but he's sniffing.
Who's the one we started this? Who do we start talking about?
Corey Seager.
Corey Seager. Yeah, I think
Seager's top 5. Yeah,
he's top 5.
The more we workshop this out,
Yeah.
So
I mean, the Cruises. Maybe someday.
Ezekiel Tovar,
Yeah, he's having a great year.
Luis Rengifo,
Just not getting the love. Who's he play for? No,
the Angel.
the Angels.
Even though I guess Nito's shortstop and Rengifo's kind of anywhere.
He's bad.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of bad, let's wrap up here with the Caitlin Clark stuff. Look, we're late to the party on this by a couple days. I don't really care. I've found, I think, most of this to be fascinating from the media side of it, only because of. And by the way, shout out to Monica McNutt, who I think probably did to me, second best out of anybody. I'll get to my first best here maybe a little bit down the line.
I don't like the way Stephen A. was treating Monica.
Right, but Monica had a really good point, right, where it's like, if you actually did care, you'd be talking about the league 3 years ago, no matter what. And she's accurate. Like, this has been, look, no matter what
And
you
of
want
course, he took it the wrong way.
no matter what you want to say about the WNBA, it has been since really the pandemic, there's been incremental increases in eyes and everything like that anyway. The interesting part to me is I think everybody's kind of blowing this deal a little bit out of proportion. And I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts on this because I personally feel like it's this kind of standard stuff that pretty much every rookie in every sport kind of gets. Maybe outside of baseball where it gets a little bit weird because you're throwing at some guy just because type thing. But think about a rookie quarterback in the NFL. Tends to usually end up getting a couple late hits every here and there where the refs also kind of look away of sort, right? That especially happens in the NBA. The young guys are always typically on the front end of a little bit of the extracurricular stuff. Hockey as well. I think what happened I think it gets amplified only because it's a Chicago Sky who has Angel Reese, who was probably, if not second, the third most identifiable player out of this draft, depending upon how you want to look at Cameron Brink, behind Caitlin Clark. So, to me, the play itself was a bit of I don't maybe necessarily think it's a non-issue in that sense, but to me, I was like, it's whatever, right? I guess we'll start there. Probably, I don't know if you feel the exact same, but that's how I kind of viewed really the play itself at the time, and still do, I guess.
I understand rookie, I don't want to say hazing, but rookie treatment, I guess.
Yeah.
That was a little over the top, though. I think she pushed her a little too hard there. She didn't see it coming. She said some language that's not eligible for the show. But, it's just a little too much, a little too far. I just thought it was a little too much. I mean, suspend her one game? I don't know. Fine her. I don't know what they do.
They fined.
They fined her.
I don't think the play was suspendable. I'm gonna be honest. If that is suspendable, we got to be having a lot of different conversations with a lot of different players across both NBA and WNBA. Then,
That's true. It was just a cheap shot. That's how I looked at it. And I'm a big Caitlin Clark fan, and and she took it with class. I mean, she just said it wasn't a basketball play, which it wasn't a basketball play. She just shoved her, and that was really it. I think they're kind of blowing up because it is Angel Reese's team versus Caitlin Clark's team. And that's why it blew up. It was on TV.
Yeah.
And it got a little bit more headlines than it really should have.
I think this is also demonstrating, and look, to me, I get it. Like, she's had this media attention now for well over a year and a half, Caitlin Clark, right? But, like, I do think there's a bit of, like, at least with most, well, I don't know about most, but there's a good chunk of probably WNBA players, as we've seen, who are kind of just tapped out of it at this point, where it's just like, she's just another player, and that's the way they got to view it. Like, as a competitor, that's the way you got to view it. That, like, I think any time somebody says something or does something to her, it has to be dissected in a way that it's like, oh, this is negative for whatever. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think the negative stuff comes from, at this point, the media reaction, the way it's going down, right? Because now we aren't talking about even so much the play anymore, right? Let alone like the responses even afterwards and post-game stuff. Now we're talking about, like, literally what we said at the jump. We are literally talking about Stephen A. Smith and Monica McNutt and Pat McAfee, Bob Costas, Kerry Champion. All these people are having different conversations about it. Some way better than others, very clearly. And that's where I think it's the true negative in this, right? Because I know this is going to be a very extreme viewpoint of this, but I can't think of a better way to really get the point across. Like, you were still, not maybe necessarily like you and me, but like the general person, the general fan, you were still watching Golden State games this year when they were on national TV, even after Draymond Green put Rudy in a headlock, even after he punched Jordan Poole last year. You know what I mean? Like, you got by it. And obviously there was talk about Draymond and stuff like that, but like, there was no negative whatever with it. Like, the way that I feel there's the negative stuff coming in now on this with Caitlin Clark. And the stuff, when something happens to her, the way they cover it. It's just such a reactionary thing that, like, to me, and this is what I mean by, like, yeah, hard play at I guess, best/worst, depending on how you view it, stuff, right? Like, rough play. But, like, that's not going to be the first time that happens to her. It's not going to be the last that happens to her. It's not going to be the first or last time it happens to any player in that space, right? In this talking point. But, like, the minute now that we have people calling out other people on the way that they view and talk about this is why I see it as the negative in this and all. Because, like, now instead of, like, whatever, like, I'm watching on CBS Sportsnet last night, the Mercury and the Storm play. And I'm sitting there going, like, damn, if there's, like, a general person kind of watching this and they see that they're reviewing this play for a potential flagrant, like, they're thinking it's going to be, you know, like, body thrown into the stands, blah, blah, blah. And it's just not. Like, and then they're just going to view it as, like, well, if they're calling it this way and not that way because that's what I heard on ESPN, then what are we doing here? And that's just not accurate. That's not fair. That's not good for anybody, you know? And I think that's, at this point now, as we get further away from this and it's still getting brought up in that sense, that's where I view it as a negative. It's just all this coverage and it's clouding, you know, maybe not even an actual issue in the grand scheme of it, more than anything else.
I think the negative part about Caitlin Clark is the publicity that she does bring.
Right.
The team's trash.
Ew.
They're garbage. And you got an undefeated Connecticut Sun team, and you never hear anything about them.
Right.
I don't even know any player on the Connecticut
Moved to
Sun.
9-0.
Who?
They moved to 9-0 last night.
Yeah. I don't know one player on the Suns. The Sun. Sun?
Connecticut Sun.
I'm thinking, how many teams have a not plural name? I'm thinking Utah Jazz. Anyway, it's just
Phoenix Mercury.
Phoenix Mercury, yeah.
Seattle Storm.
Seal Storm.
Indiana Fever.
Jesus.
Chicago Sky.
The WNBA does not have plural.
The Atlanta Dream.
Come on. Is there one plural team name in there? Liberty.
Sparks. Liberty.
Sparks.
Aces.
Man, not much. Interesting.
What's the team up in Minnesota? The Lynx. They don't have an S. Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah. We're going too down the rabbit hole there.
you got the Indiana Fever, who's on TV all the time, kind of like the Zion Williamson factor,
Yeah.
where they put the stupid Pelicans on TV.
Good
And when he gets hurt every year, and we're stuck with these games, and we got to watch the Pelicans. I don't want to watch the Pelicans.
Disrespect to Valanciunas.
Hey, he was my best player on my fantasy team. So, disrespect to you.
I'm not disrespecting. What the hell?
But yeah, it's kind of like that factor. Kind of like the Dallas Cowboys factor. Like, why are we talking about this team when there's a lot better teams than this team? And that's just sometimes I just don't understand how that works in sports, how that works in media. Why we just go directly to teams that are popular when there's way better teams.
I mean, the best way I think that we can summarize this up, right, is like I know you at least know of the meme when I'm going to say it, but like this is going back to at least 2010 maybe. Western Kentucky playing Kentucky in football, and Western Kentucky's beating them as this at the time. Yeah, they were part of the original Sun Belt, so like as a Sun Belt team, and the camera finds a defensive back after an interception, going, "They supposed to be SEC." Like, it's kind of what this kind of is in a way, right? Where it's like, yeah, like there's always this hype around whatever, and it's the way it is, and there's a reason why, there's always talk amongst other even players where it's like, right, where it's like, I don't know why they care about Team X or average when we're all better,
Yeah.
There only might be one team right now in all of sport where it gets away with it and allowed to be, and that's like the Chiefs, because it's just like they back it up pretty much every year at this point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think, Nick, that about does it for Fresh Takes for today.
Yeah.
How about it? So
WNBA.
before I toss it to you, just a reminder, no show next week. We'll be back the week after, though. Not quite in our summer stuff yet. Just we got some scheduling stuff going on within the building that puts a constraint on what we can and can't do in the studio here for the week. So nothing next week, but we'll be back the week after. Nick, shout out time. Who you got?
Yeah, this is the mid-season finale, I guess. We'll be back for the second half in a couple weeks.
Even though after that point we go to like every other week pretty much.
Yeah, I'm shouting out my friend from Cuca, Adam Tuttle. It's his birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday to Adam.
Play fantasy football with him. Good player, good owner. And, yeah, go Adam. Happy birthday. Shout out.
Shout out indeed. All right, so everybody enjoy. We'll talk again in a couple weeks. Like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff. We'll talk with everybody later on.